Good morning, everyone. Call the meeting to order. The agenda, any additions or deletions?
Mr. Chairman, we would like to add the Great Sand Hills Railway enclosed. It is due to financial, land, and preliminary discussion. That would be 9-6.
Okay, thank you.
Could I bring up the speed limit in Lowell?
Speed limit in Bull.
It's been brought to my attention some concerns now with kid safety.
In your report.
Okay.
Okay, Shane's moving the agenda with the addition. Any questions? Vote. That's carried. Minutes from last meeting. Michelle's moving them. Any questions? Everybody read them? Good. Vote. Maybe not. Minutes. Michelle. Shane. All right. That's carried. 4.1, Tarlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bylaw 2023-15 Municipal Development Plan, second and third. Before you on page 8, excuse me, is the request for decision. The recommended motion that council move second and third reading of the bylaw 2023-15 as presented. That starts on page 8, and our planning supervisor is going to provide an overview of the updates. This process began in August of this year, and so we've had public hearing, and then we had some other notable experts, subject matter experts that have assisted us along the way. So, Kayleen, please take it away.
Thank you, Chairlyn. So since the past presentation, we had a delegation for presentation come from a representative of the NRCB. Came in to help provide some clarity on the process for council and to provide feedback on the MDP as well. And since that time, we've drafted newer amendments to the municipal development plan, and that it does include the removal of the 3.2 kilometer setback from multi-parcel country residential subdivisions. So previously it was 3.2K from multi-parcels. We recommend to retain the 3.2 kilometer setback only from hamlets, and this is an effort to promote hamlet residential expansion. And the reason being that the NRCB's minimum distance of separation only takes into consideration existing residential development, and retaining the setback provides protection and assurance to those people who own land in those areas. We've also inserted text to better enforce the minimum standards for requirements from public roads that are utilized in operations. And we've inserted requirements of the land use bylaw to enforce setbacks from roads and property lines as well. So within the MDP itself, on the bottom left-hand corner, page 34, the new text is highlighted in red. And the new text reads that the county will support confined feeding operations requiring an approval, authorization, or registration if the following conditions are met. That the site is not located within 3.2 kilometers of the boundary of a hamlet that's identified in map 7, generalized development concept, as a growth hamlet, small hamlet, or rural hamlet. And alongside that, we did make amendments to that generalized map as well, removing the reference of the 3.2 kilometer setback buffers. That the size of the parcel is conducive to supporting the operation, and that all buildings, structures, compost areas, stockpiles, or excavation areas comply with the property line and roadway setbacks as outlined in the land use bylaw. And reason for the insertion of that text is that the NRCB shared with us that if it's not in the MDP, it's not enforceable. So we took that portion from the land use bylaw and we inserted it into our MDP bylaw. and that the county shall direct new confined feeding operations to areas that are in proximity to or can directly access primary transportation corridors that are suitable for the intensity of the operation. And we do have a map that shows transportation networks, and hopefully over time we're able to kind of make that map more robust and further look at our road standards and identify that better. The NRCB did also share with us as well that there is a working group that's been established to look at road requirements through the AOPA process and through the NRCB's review. So we'll look, I guess, to see what type of update comes out of that working group as well.
So just AOPA, does everyone know what AOPA is?
Sorry, the Agricultural Operations Practices Act.
Right to farm legislation.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then under 4.1.21, expansion of existing confined feeding operations. Again, we've removed the reference to the map 7 showing the buffer areas from residential and hamlets. And we've inserted that the county shall not support confined feeding operations to expand within the tri-area IDP boundary. They are prohibited within that boundary. And that, Mr. Chairman, is the summary of the amendments that have been made since the October meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Computer troubles.
Yeah, we got computers going down everywhere over here. So- Did you? Okay. Is yours charged? Or is it charging? Can I steal your charger?
It's probably charged enough. I charged it last night.
Did you?
I might need that. Should be good for.
Oh, mine should have been charged, but
That was the problem I had with mine at the end. Didn't matter if you charged it, it wouldn't stay charged. You couldn't charge it.
okay. So second reading. Somebody want to move second so we can discuss? Dustin? Any questions or comments on it? Shane?
Yeah, I'm very disappointed to see that 3.2 in there from hamlets, in there still. We're generalizing all hamlets. You take, we know 7 persons will not be growing north of 7 persons with the twin highway and everything being there. We're lumping Hilda, Schuler, Walsh, Irvin, everything in the same group that no, confined feeding operations within 3.2 of them little hamlets where we know there is potential to next to none, any growth going to happen. So we're lumping them all together. And I really feel we're handcuffing our industry, and we should be working with them, not against them.
Dustin?
So, speaking on that, I kind of had the same thing. I'd be fine with a setback of sorts, but I think it should be 1.6 kilometers instead of 3.2. So that's 1 mile instead of 2 miles. 1 mile is a long ways. So essentially, if we're looking at this office, 1 mile is all the way to the elevator down here, not Pioneer, but the next one, or it's all the way to Sterling Trailers. So 1 mile is quite a bit. If we're talking 2 miles going back towards Medicine Hat, that's all the way to the train overpass. So I would be in favor of amending that to 1.6 instead of 3.2.
Well, make the, you
Yep.
can ask for
Yeah,
amendment.
I'll make that motion.
So this is a motion over and above the second reading? To amend. Anybody want to speak for or against it before I ask for the vote? Michelle?
Well, I kind of agree with it. It's especially for some place like Hilda or 7 persons or those little communities that depend on the agriculture and ranching to keep them going. Some place like Dunmore, on the other hand, might be a little bit different, but you know, I guess I'm in favor of it.
Well, Dunmore's in the IDP, so
So
Dunmore
it
doesn't
wouldn't
get
be in there,
affected.
okay.
No.
Yeah, okay, well, that makes it different.
Any other questions or comments?
So you're voting on the amendment first, and then we'll move second, just as a reminder.
Yeah. Okay, so when Kayleen did the presentation there, she said that the NRBC was good with everything that we were doing, and they would follow that up, so.
Councillor Kirby-White texted and said that he's in favor of the 1.6 as well.
Okay, haven't asked for the vote yet. So, I don't know, if we change this now if somebody else comes in and is a mile and we're at 1.6, are we going to change it again for the next guy that comes in? We made this decision before when everything was all open. So, Dustin?
I'm not looking at it as the one person coming in. I think when we took and we put it in, we were going off the numbers that we had for the wind towers, and we just used a number that we thought wouldn't be a problem. And I think we just are addressing something that we overlooked. So, and, you know, I'm not looking at this on a one-case basis. I'm looking at it on an overall basis that I think a mile is simply get enough separation from a confined feeding to a hamlet.
Any other questions or comments? Blaine?
No, I was going to make that comment as well, that, you know, when things were being made with the wind towers, I think that this all got missed. And further to that, if, you know, our bigger growing areas like Dunmore and Desert Bloom, they're within the IDP, so they're not going to be a factor in this decision anyway. So I think we really need to concentrate on our agricultural producers.
Richard?
When we're talking about going down to that 1 mile right now, is there a limit on the size of the confined feeding operation? Like, is it possible you could have 10,000 head of cattle within a mile of one of those hamlets? I just can't remember how that works.
Kayleen can answer that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, it would fall back to the Natural Resources Conservation Board and in their consideration of their minimum distance of separation based on the specific scenario of each of those situations. But the MDP would just be a blanket 1.6 or 3.2, whatever council directs, would be our requirement.
And then they have the size of the feedlots as far as the animals per unit and the distance in their regulations.
Correct, and based upon the type of manure as well, right? So whether it's cows or chickens or poultry or what have you would be based on the specifics of the operation.
Dustin?
Yeah, Richard, if you remember when I was doing those calculations after the fellow from NRCB was here, it showed anything over 10,000 head would be well over that mile anyways. And then for hogs, it was even further yet. So their calculation would affect anything that's bigger than, I believe it was 5,000 head was the minimum. It was less than a mile.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember the numbers.
And I don't remember them exactly either. I'd have to look them back up again, but it was something to that effect.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll ask for the vote.
So the vote is to amend to 1.6.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have said that. Okay, that's carried. Yeah. It's carried. Said you did?
He has nothing on his screen.
No, everybody vote, because sometimes it doesn't show up, but it shows up there, right?
I haven't touched any.
Oh, you haven't got anything even showing? No. Sorry.
Oh, that's,
It's still saying it has no
everybody
ID.
click your screen.
Says there's no identification.
Lloyd's is broken.
Okay, the motion now is for second. That's carried to change to 1.6. Is there any other questions on second? Not seeing any? Vote. Carried. Third. Oh, hold on. You're gonna move third. Keith is moving. Keith moved it. Any questions? Vote. Carried. All right. 5.1, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is the November capital update on page 138. The recommended motion that council receive the November 2023 capital budget update for information. That talks about the previous motions on page 138. Gives an update on administration, machinery and equipment, water and wastewater, roads and bridges. And the update ends on page 141.
Thank you. Somebody want to make a motion? I gotta find what the motion is. Hold on one sec.
The motion is that council receives the November 2023 capital update for information.
Michelle's moving that. You have the floor. Do you have any questions?
No.
Anybody else have any questions on it? Let's see, I still haven't even made it to the,
I gotta get to 138 here, sorry.
Michael, we got tragedy going on in here. Everything's falling apart. Okay, and not seeing any questions? Motion is received for information on it? Vote. It's carried. All right, we're just going to take a 1-minute break here and let Michael fix everything that's
No pressure, just a minute.
Is it a vote?
30 seconds.
October, November 2023 operating update for information. It goes through revenues, expenses, and there is the AP listing as well. Is there any questions?
Blaine's moving it. You have the floor.
To the chair, I have just a question on, I guess it's page 158 and 170 with the hiring of MGB grading. I was just wondering, we seem to be paying them guys lots, and why we are. Just an explanation for that.
That's the oiling crew, I think.
So MJB, MJB is doing the Dunmore Junction.
Yeah, but they did a lot of hamlet grading, or county grading as well, so just kind of what that was.
Oh, okay, so that's for the oiling crew?
Is that what that
So,
is?
yeah, so we contracted them to assist us in the, mainly on the black and white, those big stretches, and utilizing their expertise.
Cool. I was just wondering what it was all about.
That's what, yep, totally.
Wasn't sure if we had a breakdown or what was going on.
Yep, so yeah, the two projects primarily.
Okay.
Shane?
Yes, on page 148. We should maybe change that, White Fox Coil Tubing Limited, $403,175 for gravel haul. It's a little exaggerated. That should have only been, it's way less than that because it's not all under gravel haul. And then with the regards to gravel haul, well, I was going to bring it up now or at the budget time, I guess. That the amount that we're spending on gravel haul and how we figure out the rates. And who's doing it, if we're going out for tender, because some of them outfits are making excess of $140,000 a year. And we were trying to get away from that. When I first come on the council here, we asked, for stuff to go out to tender. When I checked with all the other counties, south of Highway 9, Pincher Creek, they do their own hauling. If they need extra trucks, they put it out for tender. Katy Valley is the only other one that puts it all out for tender. They have no trucks, but everybody else has their own trucks. So just wondering if we're spending that much money, if we should maybe be acquiring more trucks. And how we figure out the rate, because on some of that, on an 8-hour day, when I go back through the whole history of it, I did spend a couple hours on it last night. Some of them guys are making over $400 an hour. So would like some clarification.
So, Mr. Chairman, our Director of Corporate Services can share on the first item.
Through the chair, thank you, Councillor Hawk. You're 100% correct. That is not all gravel haul. One way or another, it was hauled, but it went through a crusher. So a lot of that fee there's about 300 or so thousand of that was for gravel crushing. And in terms of the gravel hauling, having existing equipment or getting contractors to do it, that's something that we'll often keep our minds on to see what's the best path. The previous Director of Public Works was making a strong attempt to get higher utilization out of the existing trucks, but I think it was found that we just couldn't quite keep up to what we needed. This year is a little bit of extra catch up, and current Director of Public Works, correct me if I'm wrong, but this year's higher numbers reflect a little bit more catch up than years past. But it's in regards to seeing if we should own and operate or if we should utilize contractors, that's something that's commonly reviewed.
Mr. Chairman, the Director of Public Works can add more about the tendering process.
Yeah, through the chair. With regards to contracting it out, we began the year with putting out a qualification tender and inquire on pricing for a loaded ton per kilometer. And we utilize these numbers to establish a fixed rate that is at every day down at the gas pumps in Dunmore. We go off of that number there to work out a calculation for that rate. And we're planning to do it this year as well, the same format. So, but we are continuing to look at internal versus, we just couldn't keep up this year with the demand out there.
So where are we caught up now?
Yes, this year.
Getting there, yeah.
Okay.
So we went through a tendering process at the beginning.
Qualification.
Oh, we went through a tendering process then at the beginning, and all these guys all put in a tender? Then,
Correct. Yeah, every one of those were pre-qualified under that tendering process.
okay, no, as long as we're following.
And you're talking about the pumps, so that's just a fuel surcharge that you check every day. Okay. Make sense?
Yeah. But they will change that, so if somebody's looking at this here, the White Fox, you know, that it's
Yep.
not all just a gravel haul, because,
It'll be the description of the AP. Yep. Yeah, and Paul and Steve will do that.
okay.
Any other questions? Who made the motion for this plane, right? Not seeing any other questions, I'll ask for the vote, and that's to accept this. Yeah. You're voting to accept the report.
And Lloyd has no screen.
It's carried.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything. I watched him.
You're good. You didn't even like.
It's all telepathic.
It's like, you just did it.
But I seen.
Okay. 5.3, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is the 2024 operating budget. The recommended motion that council approve the 2024 operating budget, including projections for 25 to 27 as presented. It starts on page 209, and the document starts on 210. And we went through it the last meeting. Same format, the council strategic plan with the addition of the premier food corridor is added on there, and it goes through each department and function. Talks about capital reserves, talks about the legislation that we need to follow. There's a message from the Reeve and the CAO. There is a really important document to share with folks is what we contribute out in the community. And it goes through there and talks about all of our functions. Is there any questions?
I'll make the motion.
You're making a motion? Okay. You have the floor.
I just need an explanation, again. Maybe you gave it last time, but I forgot. Under Public Works breakdown, under gravel roads, we're up in the budget $1 million. And I was wondering why it's such a big increase, why we're going up $1 million.
Mr. Chairman, our Director of Public Works will address that.
Through the chair. Partway through the season, we looked at this year coming up and the plan for this following year. And there was a lot more roads that required graveling and surfacing. The condition has been going down. So the increase is based on our last projection for the graveling program next year. So it is quite a bit bigger than this one this year. We noticed the impacts, and we have implemented the wind farms factor into this. A lot of that is billed back to the wind farm contractors. So, yeah, but we have to expense it, part of the budget, but it will be coming back. So what we see now for the wind project is 100% of them require graveling at the end of the year or partway through the year of their road use agreements. So it's capturing that under operating right now, but the return will be as usually at the end of the project is when the security is still in play, that their final invoices come in, and we don't release it until we have those paid for. So.
Makes sense? That answered your question? Okay.
some clarification. Because $1 million increases no small little change in it. I just wanted to know why you wanted so much.
There's so
I
much
was
to
only
do.
willing to give 200,000.
Okay, any other questions? Michelle?
On the first page of the budget summary, there's just 229.
229?
229 is what it said. My question is that under the 2023, administration expenses is 306, then for 2024, it drops to 3,500,000. So it's like $100,000 difference. And I was just curious, is somebody not, or do we not have an extra job that we're paying for, or why? It's $100,000 less.
Sorry, just going to admin, because the administration, it'll show here. So, oopsies. So, Mr. Chairman, if we go to page 239, it shows budget from 23 to 24, and it breaks it down more. So there was a decrease slightly in salary and wages. There was a decrease in contracted services. There was an increase for materials. There was a decrease for depreciation. And so overall, when you have ups and downs, the overall, so the previous sheet is a consolidation of all of what's on page 239. So 239 breaks it down a bit, and so you got something that, so you look at actuals and projected and all that jazz, and so what it does is it takes, some go up, some go down, and that's the net. Page 239, yep.
Yeah, that explains it.
It brings it
That
into
shows me
further
what
detail.
I missed. I didn't tie the two together, that's why I was curious. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions? Steve?
Through the chair, a large part of that, your question surrounding about staff or the right level, was you'll see that staff and salaries is actually a 0.2% reduction. And what had happened is COLA was about 4.5, so we should have seen about a 4.5 there, but there was some benefits calculation that we identified that we didn't have the numbers in time when we presented the last budget, so we made an estimate. So that's some of the discrepancy there too, is in the salaries.
It wasn't
Yeah.
noticeable.
Any other questions? Not seeing any? Shane? Shane moved it. You're voting on the budget, and we have to vote by show of hands. So they'll fix the computer at lunchtime for us, so. Vote. Carried. 5.4, Carolyn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The 2024 capital budget amendment final, it's on page 209, I believe. Is that, no,
292.
292. There's so many papers. So the Director of Corporate Services, there is a couple amendments. Would you like to address them, please?
I sure can, through the chair. What we had found, we're just asking, so the capital budget was approved on November 21st, and one thing that we found was we had an agreement in place to extend the water line down 3rd Avenue east of Township Road 120. That was in the 2027 budget, and we were reminded that there was an agreement in place to get water east of Township Road 120 to the subdivision there. And in that, we listed in our agreement that we had an endeavor to get that project done at that time. So so in a step of good faith, we should have it in the budget that we're acting to do that project like we agreed to. We're not held to it by any stretch of the imagination, as our vision for the Dunmore Junction development entails. But we had that agreement in place with planning, so it was we wanted to just reflect in good faith that we were still going to approach that unless something changed.
And it's
So
a
we're
cost share project.
So we're taking part of that 2027 project, and we're moving part of that project into 2025. The rest of that water looping type project will remain in 27. And then as our vision for Dunmore Junction tightens up, we can do the most cost-efficient water delivery at that time.
Okay. Any questions? Oh, what's the motion? Just receive?
Council amends the 25-27 capital project as presented on page 2.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm looking for the motion that council amends the 2025 to 2027 capital project years as presented. Richard's making that motion.
Yes, I will.
Any questions on it? I think Steve did a good job of explaining that for us. Not seeing any questions? Vote. Keith? Lloyd? Oh, were they already up? I can't look out the back of my head, you know. You say I do, but I can't.
I was just going to say that, it's a mother's trait.
That's carried. There, thank you. CAO report. Tara Lynn, 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 294 is the CAO report. Do you have any questions?
Lloyd's moving the report. Is there any questions? Michelle?
I don't think it's in the report, but you sent out an email, through the chair, sorry, to Tara Lynn. You sent out an email last week about the Tallahassee something or other for gas wells that they're, hang on, I'll find it.
They were not paying?
Yeah, well, that they're actually
AER.
using enforcement, and my question is do we have any of those in Cypress County? Because I don't think anybody ever answered me.
Not to my knowledge, Mr. Chairman, but it was just interesting why I get those information briefs from the province all the time, and I just found it very encouraging that the AER is actually starting to use the tools that they have. So it was just for information, but we don't have any. Yeah.
Yes, I was quite excited about that too. That's why I was asking to see if, we had any of them here that we might have some chance of getting enforcement.
No, we're fairly lucky here. We have a good collection rate. We're fairly lucky compared to other municipalities. Yeah, very lucky.
Any other questions or comments? Not seeing any. Lloyd moved the CAO report. Vote. Carried. Thanks for waiting for me to turn my head that way, Lloyd. Reeve and council report. The only thing I add to mine that isn't in there is the Cypress County Christmas party that was on the weekend. Went to that. It was a great party. Everybody showed up. It was a good time. Good food. Thanks to all the other councilors that came to that. I understand some were sick and some were tied up. Things happen, but it was good to see the turnout. I'll start with you, Lloyd.
Been busy with phone calls, and they've all been good. We're really happy about that. I attended the Elkwater Community Association meeting and had a long talk with the new park manager, who is extremely interested in getting involved with the CAO and the Reeve down the road with the fire department and road construction and things like that. And the Christmas party was really good. I enjoyed it, and many thanks to the staff.
Keith?
Went to the Ag Connections Conference. I thought it was very well put together. Really enjoyed the noon hour speaker. Felt there was a good balance between the toys and the mechanics and the human side of what we all go through in agriculture. So I certainly would be in favor of having another one next year. Went to the Christmas party and back at council today.
Dustin?
So November 22nd, I emceed the Ag Connections Conference. I thought it was an excellent conference as well. November 23rd, I attended a town hall with the ADM of Agriculture. Biggest thing that probably came out of that meeting, just one second here, I wrote it down. The province took and recognizes that we're in a disaster when it comes to water in the south with the historic low levels of the Old Man and the St. Mary's. And it's a matter of the greatest concern to them. Alberta Agriculture and Ag Environment or Alberta Environment are currently preparing for an El Nino winter and are in conversations about water share agreements and the levels if the levels remain low coming into the spring. I had raised the question if municipalities will be given first rights to water over irrigation in a dire situation, and the answer was that water use for life and well-being will be the priority. Then we had an ASB meeting on November 28th, and there was one thing I wanted to share out of that, and that was, sorry, one second. We had a new director of CWA come in and meet with us, and it looks like it might be very advantageous for us to have partnerships with them moving forward under his leadership. I think it's going to be taking a different direction, and I'm actually kind of excited to see it. And then December 3rd, I went to the 7-person's craft sale and worked in the kitchen all day, and that was a good turnout as always. So,
Thank you, Dustin. Michelle?
Well, I went and attended the FCSS AA conference, and it was wonderful as usual. I was re-elected as the South Region rep again for another year. Thank you. I also attended the Christmas party on Friday night. The supper was awesome. Got to hand out fuzzy blankets to staff, which was kind of cool. And yesterday I had Cypress View policy meeting with the new policy committee, and it was really good, actually. That's it.
Richard?
I also went to the Ag Connection. I could only stay till lunchtime, and then I had a Community Futures meeting in the afternoon. The next day, I did a Milk River Watershed Council of Canada meeting. I did it over Zoom. I try and drive down every other time to Milk River, just sometimes it doesn't work out. On Monday the 27th, I attended the chair's reception for the Community Foundation. That was in the evening at the Messnet Golf Course, and grant money was handed out, and for Cypress County Community Foundation funds, there's a sheet that was handed out. It'll show you that for 2023, the Dunmore Equestrian Center received $5,000, and the Urban and District Agricultural Society received $9,275. They were using this to provide free curling ice and also for skating. So just a sheet to show you that we started the Cypress County Community Foundation, and it's going good and it's growing, and we'll be continuing to try and add more people to it and more funds. And on the Tuesday, November 28th, we had a Verge Economic Development meeting. Thank you to Tara Lynn for joining us. In the evening, I went to the Southeastern Alberta Rural Crime Watch meeting. Shane was there, and they had a good turnout. I thought it was a very good turnout. And last night, I had another Cypress County Community Fund Advisory Committee meeting that we held here. That's it.
I also attended the Ag Connections event. It was very well attended as well as very well run. Had many informative speakers. Dustin did a great job of emceeing, didn't stumble too much, did good. And also 28th, we had an ASB meeting, as Dustin alluded to, a few other things that were going to be a few workshops coming up here, farm succession planning one and a drone school. So anybody out there interested, there'll be some of that happening. And provincial conference is going to be in Lethbridge this year, so on the 22nd and 24th of January. Also attended the Christmas party. Hats off to the organizers. It was a great event, great supper, and lots of interaction with the staff and employees, and looked like everybody was having a great time. So, yeah, that's about it.
Shane?
Yeah, I also attended the Ag Venture Conference. Had some feedback that some people that had a booth really liked it, that everybody had name tags so they could communicate. They said they really hope we have it again. They really enjoyed it, thought it was great. Had attended the Ag Service Board meeting. Justin and Wayne touched on everything there. Interesting, I did go to the Stampede Board meeting. And it's very interesting that it's now up to, their event center now is up to 37 million, where they're going to be looking for the city to put up about 14. And this is going to get very interesting because Lethbridge just opened up here not a year ago. And now they are asking the city for money for bailout because they're to help operate, and the government. They already are in trouble within a year. Lethbridge exhibition there. So this one is going to have a tough pull to donate up that much money. So it'll be interesting. And that is about it. Oh yeah, Bowl. I had a phone call. The speed limit in Bowl is right now 50. They'd like it reduced down to 40 with some kids playing signs, children playing signs, because they got 5 young kids down in the community, and they ride their bikes and on that road, and just to slow the traffic down. And we have knocked down the speed limit in other places, and I'd like to see
Our
it.
hamlets, that's not a hamlet anymore, that was dissolved, so.
So, Mr. Chairman, what we
But it's
could
just
do-
one road going through.
If you'd like, a motion of council directing administration to bring back a recommendation to the next
We
meeting,
can do that after we're done this.
Yeah,
if you're cool with that.
yeah. Thanks, I forgot about that. Yes.
She protects
Then-
our seniors in here.
And just dealt with some other phone calls about roads, and that's about it.
Richard forgot something?
Yeah, a couple items. One of them is over in Desert Bloom. The first playground that was put in there many, many years ago, and I can't even, I didn't confirm what the date was on it, but the playground is pretty small. They'd like to update it, so they're going to get some prices on updating a couple of the playgrounds. I'll bring that back in the spring. And the other thing is, got a phone call from a citizen that is south of 7. It's the road that there's a confined feeding operation that the Hutterites operate. And it's a gravel road, and there's a huge amount of truck traffic that's on that road. So I've asked Terrell to look into it. I understand there'll be a report coming back in the spring, but I just want to throw that reminder out there that for every time we make a decision on something, and I realize that we've done something here with reducing that distance on a confined feeding operation, but we really, really need to look at the roads that are going to be impacted and the amount of traffic. The road count will show us what's happening on that road down there, but according to the resident that lives on that road, and it was a funny comment that we made, well, there's only one person on that road, so it's not a big deal, right? Well, actually it is to them. And there's like 50 tractor trailer units a day going on that road. So can imagine the amount of dust that is part of it. So definitely we have to look at what some of the, and I don't like to say repercussions, but what are the consequences of when we create something like that or allow something to happen. So just a heads up, it'll be coming back in the new year, so thanks.
Okay, well, I'm starting to fall into the old timers group because I forgot one thing now too. And I write it down. That's not good. No, last week I finished up with the union negotiations with Cypress County Foundation, so that should be ratified by the end of the month, but everybody was happy and we actually got a 5-year deal out of them, so it's unheard of to get it that long with the union, so it was really well put together and it's going to be good.
It was brought up at the policy meeting yesterday, too, that it was a really good deal.
Yeah, so good for everybody. Yeah. Okay, I guess I need a motion. Lloyd's making a motion to accept the reports. Any questions on the reports? Not seeing any. Vote? Carried. Going on 8, we'll take a 5-minute break.
And then,
and
Mr.
then
Chairman, can we get two motions? One for the request for the bowl,
Yes, sorry.
and then also can a request for the other report to be brought back to council in regards to that confined feeding as well, to give direction?
The one that Richard was talking about?
Give one that you were talking, that Richard, that you were talking about,
Okay,
just so
so
we have a.
Shane's making a motion for the check the speed
Bull.
limits on Bull.
Yep.
Do you want these together in one motion or two separate? Two separate. Okay, Shane's making a motion for the speed limit for Bull. Vote. Just have it looked
It
up.
just gives a direction to administration, because we didn't have that. Yep.
And Richard's making the motion for to look at the 110 for dust control.
And speed. Dust and speed control, please.
It would be
Hand in hand.
a traffic impact assessment, an in-house
Good enough.
traffic
I
impact
was
assessment,
gonna say,
Yeah, in-house.
an in-house.
Great, thank you.
Analysis.
Appreciate it.
any questions on that? Vote. Carried. Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. What's going on now? Michael messed it up. Yeah, I am. As soon as this day is over with, my computer seized up again.
Really?
Yep. 8.1, Carolyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. New business, the establishment of reserve bids and tax auction conditions, page 319. So I just wanted to share with you, so administration does everything in their power that these folks don't make it on the list. That is, we do everything in our power. We have a very good recovery rate on outstanding taxation. We send multiple correspondence, have multiple meetings, and we do everything in our power to do that. So just so you're aware, this is, I always say when I signed up to be a CAO, the one thing I didn't sign up is to take people's property away. That is not. So me and my team, we do everything that we possibly can. However, under the Act, municipalities, we run by the collection of taxation. That's how our roads are gravelled. That's how our bridges are built. That's how our arenas are funded. And so it's an unfortunate part of this, but this is something that we have to do. So on page 318 is the establishment of reserve bids and tax auction conditions. The recommended motion is a two-part motion, and that council move to set the terms and conditions of the 2024 property taxation recovery auction, and it talks about it, the condition there, and that council move to set the reserve bids for the 2024 property tax auction as the attached table, and that will form part of these minutes. And on 319 is the actual, information in the table for the properties. It talks about here on page 319 that section 419 of the Act, council must set, and it talks about the public auction, okay? And so, so this is presented to you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you, Carolyn. Somebody want to make the first motion? Council received to set the terms and conditions 2024 property tax right. Michelle just put her hand up, so Michelle's making that.
Dan, do you want my paper copy? Do you want my?
I got the paper copy, he's got me on.
I have the whole agenda here, and I can share with Leslie Ann.
I'm good, I got her.
Okay.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, Michelle made that motion, so any questions or comments on it? I guess, go ahead, Mike.
It's not really a question, it's more of a comment, I guess, to the chair. Are we seeing this as becoming an increasing issue, or is this just kind of a regulatory process we're in right now, or what are you thinking?
So, Mr. Chairman, sometimes, commonly, it's the same folks that we deal with. And so it's not, this amount is not irregular at all. Yeah.
We've even seen some years that they, once this comes out, they're like, holy smokes, and they come in and pay it right away. Right. It's just, no.
Yeah, no, we work hard. We work very hard, because that is something we don't sign up for, is to do tax auction.
So out of all these, do we have any that people actually live in these properties?
I think Director of Corporate Services can put a little more on it.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. And just to add a little bit of context, a few of these are habited, like line 8, that's a property down the 41A, previously operated as a landfill, for example, so that one won't be offered at sale in this list. But just to give you some context, this is 3 years coming for these properties, and quite often once council approves that list, that's when we kind of do the full court press and say, look, these properties have now moved into this phase. It's real, we got to come into a plan. And so these, like last year, for example, we had about the same number on the list. We were able to get everybody off the list except for one that was a corporation that was no longer operating. So there was nobody to talk to on that. So I anticipate we will work as hard as we possibly can to get these removed. I don't see any of these truly going to auction, but this is one of those steps so that we can really put the press on the folks and start to work with them. But as far as, yeah, there'll be a couple that people are in, but, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on it? Okay, so the first motion was,
The first motion,
Set
Mr.
the-
Chairman, is that council move to set the terms and conditions of the 2024 property tax recovery auction. The sale is complete upon payment via cash, certified check, or bank draft. Payment in full must be received 21 days following the date of the auction. And then the second is that council move to set the reserve bids for the 2024 property tax recovery auction as per the table included, and the table forms part of these minutes.
thank you. Okay, so we got the first one. Keith made, or Michelle made the first one. Vote. Carried. Keith's making the second motion that council move to set the reserve bids for 2024 auction, tax recovery auction as per the table included. Any questions? Vote. Carried. 8.2, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The December and January meeting dates are on page 321. The recommended motion that council revise the regularly scheduled meetings in December 23 and January 24 to hold one meeting December 5th and one meeting January 16th. And the information is to follow.
Thank you. Keith's making that motion. Any questions on it? Michelle?
I don't really have an issue with this. My only concern is that for FCSS, we always have the last meeting of the year. Will we still be able to have it if we aren't having another meeting? Because they're usually before council.
I'm pretty sure that we can figure something out prior to the end of the year.
Sure, you can call it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting worked over here. I will call a meeting before the end of the year, yes.
Okay, because it just, yeah, that's the important meeting of the year. We have to make sure we've got all our funds spent and everything, so other than that, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, we have a little bit of funding that we need to clean up on disperse, so I'll know more after Wednesday's meeting.
Okay, any other questions? Vote. Carried. 8.3, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 8.3, Perk and Dirk. So that council direct administration to complete the provincial education requisition credit PERC application in the amount of $29,134.27 and the designated industrial requisition credit DIRC application amount of $1,427.55 for all the properties listed in the attached schedule and forms part of these minutes. So a couple years ago, in the past, what happened is school requisition. There was companies or whomever that were not paying their school rec. We have to forward that school rec anyway. So if they don't pay it, we can get those funds back from the province. And so this is, and same with designated industrial as well. So this is the process we go. We need to get a motion of council, then we need to write it off our books, and then they provide us with that funding.
Dustin? Dustin's moving that, as per what Terlin just read off, so I'm not going to read it again. No, it's in front of you. Any questions or comments on it? Vote. That's carried. 8.4, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Letter of support, City of Medicine Hat Airport Master Plan. It's on page 327. The recommended motion that council directs administration accordingly. On page 327, towards the end, it talks about the City of Medicine Hat is in preparing an application to the development of the airport master plan through the province's Northern and Regional Economic Development Program. They've just asked for a letter of support, and there's no financial implications to Cypress County.
at this time.
At this time.
Lloyd's making that motion. Any questions on it?
To forward a letter of support to the city of Medicine Hat for their application? Sounds good.
Any questions? Vote. Carried. All right. That'll move us to in camera. Thank you, young lady. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
We'll see you in the new year. Dustin's making that one. Vote. Carried. 9.3, letter support. Shane's making that motion. Vote.
Just a clarification for both?
Go ahead. For both. Yeah, it was for both.
Yep.
Yeah. That's carried. 9.4. Which one was that one?
Rural renewal.
Yeah.
If you wish to participate in rural renewal, and it would be at, we would provide just, 12,500 in funding.
Yeah. That's for, yeah.
For the immigration program.
That's another motion, I'll make that one.
So Keith, you're making the motion for the support on the 12?
To participate in this program, and then part of that would be the 12,500.
Yeah, and then I'll make a motion to have somebody appointed onto there.
Okay, so the first
And I,
part is,
Separate
like,
motion.
someone from administration could do that as well.
Oh, I got a better guy. Not better, sorry. That was a bad word. My apologies to administration.
okay, Keith is making that one. Vote. Carried? Yeah, Richard.
Okay, I'll make the motion that we appoint the Reeve to sit on the steering committee.
I hear the train.
That's denied. That didn't pass.
It's right up his alley. There'll be lots of arguments and.
Great.
involved with it, I know nothing.
I think
9.6.
Just pretended it didn't happen.
Yep.
And Mr. Chairman, that staff will bring back a report regarding the January 11th meeting.
Yeah, to the January 16th.
Yep.
Okay, vote. Carried. He's going on the 11th, bringing it back on the 16th. All right. As per Leslie Ann's request, we are adjourned before 12:30. Meeting's adjourned.
That was pretty good, I was amazed.